Okay, welcome back to Talkin Knicks. I'm Tom Piccolo, recording this the night before game one of the New York Knicks 25-26 season. We are turning our mics back on after what I'll call a brief hiatus. We might be a bit rusty. I'm seeing here that our last podcast was May 7th, 2023. Um, and yeah, in that time, we found out that we need this podcast to maintain our friendships. The male loneliness epidemic is real. So I'm joined today by my co-hosts and friends here. We have the brothers Poon, Kenny, and Greg, and none other than Big Baby David. Guys, let's go around the horn. How would you all describe your last 2 years in one word? I gave you no prep on this. Go.
Miserable.
Great.
Miserable.
All right.
We
Got a
got
whole
three.
spectrum there.
Yeah, we got a three.
Yeah,
tiers.
we covered it all.
And I have nothing to add to that, but I will say like a lot has changed for the Knicks since our last podcast. Like these guys, they're not underdogs, they're not overachievers. They're just like a team that's going to win a lot of games and projected to make a lot of noise in a pretty bad Eastern Conference. So I've got some like over and unders we can go into in a little bit, but I don't know. I've seen some like finals or bust chatter. So I'm going to start with BBD. Big picture, how are you feeling coming into this season?
Yeah, it's the first season with like real expectations in a long time. I mean, like obviously there's been real expectations the last couple of years, but like first time we can honestly have the opinion of finals or bust, whether you feel like that's true or not. For me personally, I would say that it's very much the goal is to at least get to the finals, and we know the West has a lot of very stacked teams, so I'll worry about that when we get there. But it does feel like at least getting to the finals is very important, and it's such a joy from where this show at one point was just that the Knicks are even a good team. So that I think summarizes a lot of my big picture thoughts. But where are you guys at?
Yeah, I'll say it is funny how we spent however many years with a terrible team, and I was latching on to Frank Ntilikina as my hopes and dreams, and then we dropped off the pod as soon as they got a bunch of stars who went to Villanova like I did, and so that's funny. But in terms of your question, Tom, they definitely, with the moves they made this summer, particularly with getting rid of Tibbs after the most successful campaign this millennium, set a tone that they want to go championship or bust. I have always been the more level-headed type of guy, where it's just like your goal is to have an opportunity once you get to the playoffs and once you get into the playoffs, because like once you're there, crazy things happen, and you just the balls have to bounce the right way. That's actually, I think, part of the reason that this last year was so painful the way that it ended is because the Knicks were there, the Knicks were healthy, and they had an opportunity to make things happen, and it didn't work out. Whereas in prior years, Julius Randle was hurt. The year before last, the entire team got hurt in the last series, and it's just like, yeah, well, we can't do anything with that. But this last year, didn't. They had the opportunity and everyone was healthy, and things could happen in that instance, but it didn't work out. So I think it's the same goal this year, is to get to that position and have the opportunity to make it that far. I'm not one who's finals or bust. Gotta see how the dice roll, as they say.
Yeah. Kenny's one of those level-headed guys that thinks Frank Ntilikina is really good. So
Yeah,
this is a
Frank.
little bit
Frank,
of
the French Prince was the future.
Yeah, so we used to pod, and then as soon as the Knicks won their first playoff series of our podcast, we said, okay, that's enough. Let's
Our
stop.
work here is done.
We've made it far enough.
They don't need us anymore.
We truly came from the bottom. We had those days where Shane Larkin was running point, and we were like, I mean, Shane Larkin was bad enough that we were able to admit that he was bad, but guys like Frank Ntilikina.
We were hoping.
Yeah, there was hope. And then we finally achieved our dreams. And now they They're good. They have a roster. You would hope that last year, they made the gigantic move before training camp to get Karl Anthony Towns. I don't know if you guys have heard of this. I know we haven't talked Knicks in a while, but they got this guy Karl Anthony Towns right before the season. So ideally, Mitchell Robinson could be healthy for a playoff run as well again this year. So I mean, it's really just a goal of gelling another year together, another year of being better. You saw the Indiana Pacers go from the Eastern Conference Finals to the finals largely with the same exact team, and they showed that the sum of the parts there was probably better than the whole was greater than the sum of the parts is the expression. That's what they were doing. So now we have greater parts, and we want the whole to become greater than the sum of the parts that are already good. I mean, put it on a T-shirt.
It just rolls right off the tongue.
Be moving units.
I can't hate on Kenny too much for the Frank Ntilikina stuff. I have blogs with my name on them that are pretty embarrassing. Looking back, like breaking down tape of like Doug McDermott, Kyle O'Quinn connections, and like Noah Vonleh grab and goes. Some bleak stuff out there. I have a Kevin Knox ceiling comparison that is quite humiliating. That is.
I sent you guys the video of like one of the highlights of my season a few seasons ago, back when the Knicks were terrible and we were potting, was Tim Hardaway Jr. and Deion Waiters in the like rookie sophomore game had like this moment where they both went back and forth, hitting like more and more ridiculous shots, and I was like, that was the highlight of my season. Yeah, rookie sophomore game.
The best time.
Yeah, I think Tom's article about Kevin Knox ceiling was solid because I think you had his ceiling as being Noah Vonleh grab and go.
That was it, and he was really good.
And you aimed a little bit too high.
Yeah. No, it was actually Paul Pierce, and it turns out it's Paul Pierce now, though.
It turns out it's still Paul Pierce, but
I think we could just. I've got some over-unders here. We can talk some big picture stuff. I want to start with just how many wins we think this Knicks team is going to win. The line, I do not know where this line is from. This podcast is not sponsored by any of these betting sites, so I'm not going to name drop where it came from. But the line I saw we're open. The line I saw was 53.5 wins. Now last year the Knicks won 51. That was with a Tom Thibodeau coach team that we know gives it all during the regular season, plays the starters a lot of minutes. The over-under is set for 2.5 games higher. 53.5 wins is a lot. The Eastern Conference, like I mentioned earlier, is worse. Jason Tatum's out for much of the year. That hurts the Celtics. Tyrese Halliburton out with an Achilles. For the Pacers, there's not a ton of talent at the top of the East here. So, Kenny, I'll start with you. 53.5 wins. I mean, are we just going to go straight overs because we're like Knicks fans, or are we going to be a little more measured here?
I'm like, I'd say 53 wins. So I'll take the under just to potentially stop us from all taking the over. It's exactly what you said, though. Like, the East is weak, and the Knicks are going to play most of their games against Eastern Conference teams. On the other hand, like, Tibbs was a guy who chased every single win by leaving his starters in as long as possible until, the game was without a doubt in their hands. So, like, he wouldn't take the starters out if they were up 20 until they were under 2 minutes. And so I don't think that they're going to be doing that this year. I think there's, that's like not going to be this season's MO at all. So I'm going to take the under because I don't think they care as much about the regular season. I think the goal is to get into the playoffs with a good, feel for themselves as a team and, good cohesion among the players. And so I don't think they're chasing wins in the regular season.
Yeah, I think I'll agree with Kenny there. So there was 3 teams last year in the NBA that were over 53.5: the Thunder, the Cavs, and the Celtics. So I mean, it's a very, very tall order. I think the Knicks, ideally, will be in a good spot. solidly in the top 2 of the East. So I think they'll be looking at the standings maybe and then trying to just make sure they're a top 2 seed, whether that requires 54 wins or not. I based on last year's standings, it probably won't. So I think they're okay with being under.
Yeah, I was thinking before I heard what the line was about, like, ooh, how many wins is it going to be? And just, I feel like I can see that end of the year. We look back on how, the biggest change of this offseason was the coaching situation. And we look back on the season and like, oh, how did we do by comparison? And I see it just ending up the exact same number of wins because that's funny. And that would leave us at 51 wins, which might be, I guess, is in a weaker Eastern Conference than what was already a weak Eastern Conference last year. Might have them in a better seeding, getting up to hopefully a top 2 seed. And I think a big part of the coaching change in mind was that Mike Brown was going to be much more willing to just like try some stuff, particularly some stuff that might not work in certain games that Tibbs was unwilling to do at many points. He liked to do what he knew worked and knew was practiced enough to know could work and all of that. I don't see them, like we've said, chasing down every single win, but it does feel a little crazy that so far I think we're 3 for 3 on unders for the first Talkin Knicks episode in 3 years, and they're good now.
Yeah, I mean,
but I do think under.
I mean, to your point, BBD, like Tibbs did what he felt gave him the best chance to win. To a maniacal degree, he didn't have a lot of trust in the bench. I think that's fair to say. The Knicks bench was the lowest scoring bench unit by a very wide margin last year. Some things we should mention: we swapped out Precious Achua for Gershon Yabusele. Jordan Clarkson now is a part of this Knicks bench. I think that Mike Brown's going to have just more firepower coming off the bench. That's sort of my hope, and that there will be just more opportunities for the bench to contribute in a way that they didn't last year. And I think for the sake of having some different answers here, I am going to take the over. I think the improved bench, the improved continuity that Greg mentioned. I mean, Cat came in last year, like right before the season started. I'm hoping that Mike Brown's going to be able to facilitate a little bit more chemistry between Brunson and Cat. There were also times where Tibbs would have just neither Brunson nor Cat out there, and I don't, that just didn't make a lot of sense. If you have 2 guys who can be offensive hubs, you shouldn't be running your offense through OG, who I really like and who stepped up in a major way when Brunson was out, but you have 2 all-NBA players on your roster. One should always be on the floor. You should stagger them in a way that makes sense. You could feature them both. I think Mike Brown's going to do that. I'm hoping that, the offense, we're going to get into this because this is another over-under. The offense last year was 5th in the league. I don't know if Mike Brown's going to come in and like have a better offense. So I kind of want to do that as like our next over under, but I do think that with the weakened East, that the Knicks can pull off 54, 55 wins and it not be crazy. So I'm going to take the over here, and I'll go ahead and transition us to the offensive ranking. Last year I mentioned the Knicks were 5th in the league. I set the over under here at 5.5. Do you guys think that the Knicks will be a better offensive team this year, like relative to the league, worse or the same? Where are we putting over unders on offensive ranking?
I mean, if we're going based on who used to be the top 5, I assume the Celtics were in there. I assume we'll swap them out for the Rockets now that they have Durant. But I mean, the Pacers, I'm sure, we're up there now. Halliburton's gone, so I feel like they should still be in there. So I'll go under 5.5, but under in this instance is good.
Oh, so I'll do better or worse?
Better.
Better.
Yeah, my mind jumps to a similar place where I would say they'll do better than that because of the teams in the Eastern Conference that I don't expect to be in that top five. And then with the Knicks specifically, the way they got to fifth was kind of weird because they were better than that for so much of that first half of the year, and then from that like January point onwards, it was hard to get going. And I think they should just be more consistent across the board as far as just overall performance as the year goes. Which I think leads them to ending up in a better place. Plus that the core group there with Cat came right before the season, and McCall's first year with the team and all that. And you can play this game with a lot of teams, but they are running back more or less that same core this year as last year. That it doesn't usually get worse playing more together. So although they played a lot together last year.
So I'll just say, let me jump in. The top four teams were the Cavs, Celtics, Thunder, and Nuggets. So not the Pacers. For reference.
Fuck.
From NBA.com. I think BBD, I'm with you. So you guys are both saying that the Knicks will have a top five offense again this year.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm good with that. I'd take it.
I'll jump in and say I agree with a lot of what BBD is saying. I think last season started out a little slow for some guys, like Mikal Bridges in particular, and I think he's going to have a better season and be a little cleaner. I think, like Tom said, the bench is going to be better, although the bench minutes were very minimal last year. So I think potentially there's a possibility that some of the starters' minutes will go to the bench players, which might decrease the offensive rating. And I know Jordan Clarkson was a heck of a sixth man in his day. He's a little bit of a chucker, though, so take that as you will. I'm going to say, right around the same, but I'm going to be contrarian and say they're going to be slightly worse than fifth. And the reason that I'm going to say that is because same reason I was talking about the coaching staff not really chasing wins is that I think during the regular season that Mike Brown's going to try some stuff. He's going to experiment with his rosters and see what he can do. And last year Tibbs was chasing wins. And so, when it came down to it, it was get Jalen Brunson the ball and get out of the way. And Jalen Brunson was a very efficient player. So that drove a lot of offensive efficiency. This year, I mean, I'm sure that's going to happen a decent amount, but I don't think it's going to be that much as much as it was last year. So for that reason, I'm going to say they're going to drop slightly and not be a top five offensive rating team.
Oh my God, so negative. Where's your sense of fun?
I don't want us to all be saying the same thing,
Yeah, and I think you can take the under or the worse here and say they're going to be like a 6 or 7 offense, and still they can still be elite. To your point, Kenny, like the way they scored points last year, they didn't turn the ball over, right? They were top 10 in offensive rebounds. Like, it was not pretty the way they scored their points last year. I have a feel like Mike Brown is coming off a tenure with the Kings where he had one of those teams was number 1 in the whole league and had like a historic offense. He's known for like getting some movement, some off-ball stuff. I know last year what defenses ended up doing was having their bigs guard Josh Hart and guarding Cat with a wing. Tibbs really didn't do anything to combat that, like it really at any point during the season. I have a feeling that Brown will have some flexibility and some creativity to addressing that issue, because that was a huge reason why the offense bogged down in the second half of the season. I'm going to take, so we're at 5.5. I think that they're going to be in that 6-7 range as well. I think that, that they can still get to those 54 wins in that 6-7 range. So I'm going to go with Kenny on this one and go with the worse. But then, let's run this back right for defense. Defense last year, the Knicks were 13th, so just a little bit better than league average. Kind of, I don't know. Is that a little different for a Tibbs coach team? Like he's very much got his defensive principles. This year, the line, I've said it here at 12.5. Bottom line is, do we think that the Knicks will be the same or worse on defense this year, or will they be a better defensive team under Brown than they were under Tibbs? Greg, how are you feeling about the defense?
I mean, it's dependent on how much Mitchell Robinson's playing basketball this year. I think he's already missing game number 1 due to left ankle injury management, whatever that means. So, as he goes, the Knicks defense goes. As we discussed earlier, it'll be a more cohesive unit. Mikal Bridges, when he started out last year, was kind of rough on both ends a little bit, but in the playoffs he was looking good. He's probably the one who's going to benefit the most from another year in the system or on the team at least. So I think you have 2 studs on defense like OG and Bridges, then they do a good job of hiding those other guys. So it'll be a lot about some schemes that Brown's using, which I'm not familiar with. So we'll see what he does.
BBD, how you feel about the defense?
I with the thought that Mike Brown's probably going to do a degree of experimentation and testing out different combos and all of that, and I don't know how much the foot will be on the gas in the same way as a Tibbs season. And then when I think about that and who the new players they brought in are, Yabusele, Clarkson, not necessarily big time, defensive changes. I would say there, where I would guess on the whole we feel about the same about the defense by the time playoffs are here, but probably as far as their like regular season rating, it ends up in that 15-ish range, probably just slightly worse than last year, just with more of those guys getting minutes or more of those rookies that didn't really play a year ago probably getting some appearances. And Mitch is, like we said, already out the first game. Hart is battling various things, the finger, the back, and he is out the first game. That I don't know. They're probably. I just think we're in for a little bit of just like weird stuff happening that like probably results in not a better defense, at least as far as regular season ratings go.
I'm gonna say Greg nailed it with the biggest question is whether or not Mitch is healthy for a majority of the season. I think last year he missed most of the season with injuries and came in late and we saw in the playoffs was a huge difference maker. To the extent that Mitchell Robinson is currently healthy, I'm going to say that they're going to be a better defensive team. Even, they have a lot of very talented defensive players. OG, Mikal Bridges, Deuce McBride, Josh Hart are all very solid, if not spectacular defenders. And to that point, I think they as a team underperformed last year based off of the fact that Cat and Brunson are not great defenders. I think if you have Mitchell Robinson in the middle, that protects against a lot of those mistakes. Offensive players get by the defenders and get to the rim, I think Mitch has the opportunity to clean a lot of that up. And I think we saw a lot, and particularly in the playoffs, that Cat as the rim protector was not great. And so to the extent that you have Mitch playing alongside Cat, or maybe even just taking some of the load off Cat and allowing him to step up in shorter spurts, I think that's going to help them a lot. And I think that's going to take the pressure off of the perimeter defenders a lot. And I think that's going to help. Nothing to do with the schemes, because I think, as you said, Tibbs was a defense first guy. I think that Mike Brown is an offensive guy first. But I think that just having Mitch in the center is going to make a big difference.
Yeah, no, I'm with that. Like, Mitch played 17 games last year. I have to imagine it's going to be – I mean, it was only 31 the year before that. That's still like almost twice as many. I mean, 59 the year before that, 72. So
yeah,
it's been a downward trajectory. I'm really feeling a bounce back year for Mitch. And so I just think his presence will allow this team to be just a tick better on the defensive end. I do wonder, and we'll see tomorrow, like what the starting lineup, because I think the assumption is that Mitch would start alongside Cat. Even like Mike Brown hasn't committed to that in any way, and he hasn't had to. But we won't even find that out tomorrow. But I do wonder if like is Cat going to start at the 5 against Cleveland tomorrow night? I'm very curious to see. What other options there might even be? Like, would Huck Porty start at center to try and
I'd guess that Cat is starting, and maybe Yabusele or maybe they move OG back to the 4 like they had last year and have Jordan Clarkson or someone start. But I would guess almost certainly that Cat's going to start at the center.
Yeah, that's what I would guess happens, especially it being opening day. Like if it was, we had even a couple games of Mitch and they did a load management day, and then for like one game, sure, I could see them doing Huck Porty starts just to keep everybody's roles similar. But with it being opening day, it's probably Cat slides up, everybody slides up, Deuce gets in there. It's probably got to be the betting favorite, whatever book wants to get in on this.
Yeah, whichever wants to sponsor us. Okay, so we got a couple bettors from Kenny and I there on defense. And Kenny and I were always defense guys. Always love the defense. So that makes sense. All right, so moving on. Next category, I've got all NBA selections. Last year, Brunson was second team All NBA. Cat was third team All NBA. I'm setting the line here at 1.5. Like the question is, do we think that it's basically, do you think Cat and Brunson are going to run it back as an All NBA duo, or I mean, who would even be the third? Like, could McHale sneak in for consideration? Probably not, right? Like
OG.
Yeah. Like in the past, this over under in past seasons has been all-star selections, but we've moved past that. We're not there anymore. This is a new year. We're doing all NBA 1.5. Kenny, I'll start with you. What do you think?
I'm going to take the over. Easy. I think Jalen Brunson, like as long as everyone's healthy, I think Jalen Brunson's a lock, and I think Cat's a lock. I think there's already been a few people out for the season. Jason Tatum is in that front court because now it's front court, back court, right? They don't have the center differentiator. So that's one more person not really vying for that spot. I think Cat is pretty close to a lock in being I guess you can say Victor Wembanyama's going to make a case now.
Yeah.
So there's I don't know if Sengun was all NBA last year, but there's other good guys. But I think Cat is a very good player, so I got to believe he's one of the guys up there.
Sengun was not all NBA last year. Jalen Williams was. Evan Mobley was.
Yeah,
LeBron James was. Wow.
Imagine.
I think Mobley snuck in there on the Cavs being unpredictably good. Like, so he got in on the back of the Cavs team as a team selection. I don't think he's a guy that's going to be
perennial
there annually. Perennial.
I mean, he was the defensive player of the year as well. So that probably helped his case.
Yeah, that'll do it.
But I mean, I guess I'll go next. I'll cut BBD, and I guess I'll say under, based on these names that you mentioned. Sengun, Wembanyama, both didn't make it. Jaren Jackson Jr., Zubac. Obviously, those are to a lesser extent, but Bam Adebayo. I don't know. There's just a lot of guys, and if I guess the competition seems to be Jalen Williams, who was on the champion Thunder, and then Evan Mobley as the guys who are kind of in that front court on second, third team as well, who would be vying for that same spot. So it's just a a numbers game. I don't know. It's kind of tight. There's just a lot. There's just too many guys for me to say over.
Yeah, I was ready to come into this thinking, under. It's hard to make the All NBA teams. Just the odds are that less of them do it. They probably miss more time than a year ago. And then think about it like, you know what? I think both Brunson and Cat are gonna put up numbers if they play enough, and they did miss time last year and still did that. I guess Cat missed probably less time than I'm giving credit for in this exercise. I think he still got over 70 games or whatever, but he missed a little time with his finger stuff and all that he had going on, and still made it kind of easily. So yeah, I think both get back. So I'll take the over. And I'm a Knicks fan, and I agree with me.
Nice.
Yeah, I think this one this is a tricky one. Cat has made All-NBA third team 3 times in his career. It was 2018, 2022, and 2025. He's never done it 2 seasons in a row. But I'm also predicting that this team wins in the mid-50s. And, I think I'm going to have to take the over. I don't think it's tough. Like Joel Embiid is a guy who didn't make any teams last year, but I don't think he's going to play the requisite number of games, like maybe even for the rest of his career. Like he'll never play back-to-backs. He's going to have the wear and tear games. I think I'm going to take the over. I'm going to take 2 here.
Yeah, you can really tell that we didn't prepare at all for this. We're really feeling it out as we go. So another guy who didn't play enough games last year in the front court is Kevin Durant. So if he plays enough, he's pushing someone out.
But he's old,
He's old. I'll give you that. LeBron's old. Stuff can happen.
LeBron's old. I mean, Durant is 37. Durant's
LeBron's already got sciatica.
Another guy who didn't make it, Luka Doncic.
Paolo Banchero.
And Luka might be in that backcourt. I don't know. They use him as a front court player. I don't even know what they do with him. But
Kawhi still
I don't know. I just know that
play basketball. Yeah, there's a lot of good players.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm talking myself out of it, but I'm sticking.
We got 3 overs and 1 under there. All right, last 2 categories here. We're going to go with what place will the Knicks finish in the East? And we can do better or worse here too, so we don't have to get confused. I've set the over-under at 1.5. It's basically, do you think that the Knicks are going to – is 1.5 a bad line? I set this. I don't know.
No, I think that's fair. I think we would all guess they'll at least be the 2nd seed. So I think this is the right line.
Yeah.
And so I'll go first. I'll say I don't think the Knicks care at all about the 1 seed. So I think the Cavs, still have something to prove. Maybe they've learned that the regular season isn't all it's cracked up to be. They take a page out of LeBron's book where you don't even care about the 1 seed and just do whatever you want in the playoffs. So I think that the Knicks will be comfortable in the 2 seed. That's my thought. So worse.
The Cavs being the obvious first place team there. I mean, I'm curious, like, before we even get to the rest of the group here, like, who would be third?
Who else has the real chance to be the 1 seed?
Well, and who would even like potentially supplant the Knicks as like the 2nd seed? I'm curious. Like, I actually don't know who we think the 3rd best team in the East is.
I think there's a lot of Orlando heads.
Yeah, people
there
say
that's like fun, but also like until a team does it, I don't know how confidently you can like pick that.
Yeah, I mean, the Pistons were a tough out in the first round, and
Yeah.
like they're all young and on the come up. But we're talking about
70
Orlando and Detroit.
76ers still have good players if people are healthy. Like,
Yeah, they'll be somewhere from 2 to 15.
yeah, and exactly. The Sixers could do anything. I don't even know. But like every year, there's a team that kind of comes out of nowhere and has a really good season. Like last year, no one was picking Cleveland to win 64 games or whatever they won last year. So like some team could have a major leap this year. I am in terms of Tom's original question. Like I don't think the Knicks are chasing wins. I think the Cavs far outperformed in the regular season what you would expect from that roster. I expect them to, fall back a little bit, and then I think they also got fairly healthy with injury luck. I know Donovan Mitchell was injured for a little bit there, but they were got some good bounces last season. I think the Knicks could jump them, and I don't think anyone's breaking 60 wins in the East.
Yeah,
So I took the under 54, and I'm taking the Knicks to still win the East.
Wow.
Yeah.
Right. That's a narrow result. I'd like it.
Yeah. I just don't
I think.
Like now that I'm thinking, I think some other team could like sneak in and jump both of them, but I don't think either of them are playing for the regular season this year.
When as you said the Pistons, it kind of clicked that like they'd probably be the team that I'm like, I don't know if most nervous is the right word, because I don't think the Knicks care. I don't know that I care what seeding it is, but they're the team that I would feel like has the best chances to really like want a top 2 seed and prove like they've arrived and that they did actually become good last year, and that tough series against the Knicks that they really could have won if a couple things go different was real, and they're motivated, and they're a pretty similar group coming back. I guess they're the team I would say is the best chance to jump and like really pursue a crazy regular season, but I don't know. That doesn't mean I believe in them to be actually better, like go on a run.
I agree that I think like they have some very good players. Like Cade Cunningham is a heck of a ball player. So like
I wanted him very bad when we did this show.
Yeah, they could do some stuff. But I don't know. I don't see, and like it's the same with the 76ers. Like they have very good players. If Joel Embiid is healthy, that's a completely different team. But that's such a big question. It's like I don't know. I feel like
I just want to get this down in the record, the permanent record. Were you going better or worse?
I would guess the Knicks are worse than 1.5. I have no clue how. I think there's a good shot of it being the Cavs being that one. My answer is Knicks being worse than the 1 seed.
Yeah, I'm with that. Like I think that Greg nailed it. It's probably just, I mean, are the Cavs really going to lose like 8 fewer games this year with the same core?
They lost. What's his name? His man.
Ty Jerome.
He was big for that team.
And Karis LeVert, but was he traded halfway through the year?
It sounds familiar. He ended up on the Hawks, I think.
They got DeAndre Hunter
maybe should
as
be
well.
part of this conversation.
DeAndre Hunter is really good too. That's true.
I think it'll probably be Cavs 1, Knicks 2 in terms of regular season. But now we come to the playoff series wins line, which in years past, I see in 2022-23, we set it at a half. In 2021-2022, we had playoff game wins, not series, set for 3.5. So playoff series wins, I think the line here is 3.5. It's do you think the Knicks are going to make the finals this year? That's the question. Greg, do you think the Knicks are going to make the finals this year?
Yeah, I mean, I hope so. I have
Yeah,
no,
maybe
I have no choice
Mark me
but
down
to,
to soaping still.
but to choose. You know, when I was choosing the under of the wins total is for the purpose of the playoffs, and the playoffs is all that matters. So I think, you know, I have to choose the Knicks to win the entire championship. I have no choice. If not now, then when? So
Yeah,
over.
the door's open. The door's
Yeah.
open.
I
I mean, well, the door's open in the East, and once you get to the finals, anything can happen. It looks pretty rough over there in the West. Like
Yes.
there's a lot of good teams.
they can all take each other out though, and we don't
Yeah.
have to worry about any team in the West except for one that gets through there. You guys kind of talked me out of my picking the Knicks first, and I wish I could go back, but it's already been said, so I'm not
Yeah,
going
it's
to.
set in stone
It's
here.
locked
But-
in.
But what I have been saying this entire time is the Knicks don't care about the regular season. It's going to come down to what they do in the playoffs. And like I said at the top of the pod, if they are healthy and have that opportunity, I think that this Knicks team can and will make it to the NBA Finals.
Beebs, finals?
Wow.
Finals or bust?
I do have the Knicks making it to the finals. I don't have any witty way to get to that answer. I think it's going to happen. They've kind of taken that like one more step each year. That like I don't know. That's just good math there. That if you win at
Knicks
least
pod.
one more round this year, and they had a very good chance to do it a year ago. That like yeah, if they're I suppose it's a big if in the NBA, but if they're healthy again for their playoff run, like I don't see a reason why I shouldn't feel good about them making it to the finals.
This is our only unanimous over/under here. We're all going.
Knicks pod.
We're all going over. It's a Knicks pod, but I think there's a great case for it. This really could be our year. That's why we're bringing the pod back. Is it for real? We don't know. We don't even know this is going to see the light of day. We have no idea.
This
But-
might not get posted.
I don't know if we have somewhere to post it, but I'll find. I'll look.
on our tumblers. Yeah, I think this was a pretty good first foray back into. We've dipped our toes back into the Knicks podcasting space. I want to ask: is there anything else you guys want to say about this Knicks squad, about this upcoming season, about tomorrow night's game, the home opener? Like anything else y'all want to?
I want to jump in just after our hiatus. I want to send some love to a few people. Julius Randle, my dude. He is no longer with the team since our last pod. He brought us through some dark days. We did not like him for a period. There was a whole Beyblade situation that we all talked about. He really turned things around, and the man will forever have a spot on my in my heart as a guy that made things happen for the Knicks. The other guy, and I'm the biggest fan of Tibbs. Appreciate everything that he did. I think he caught a lot of flack from people who were just like wanting to complain about something. I think there were things to complain about for sure, but I think that with any coach, there's going to be things to complain about, and all he did every year was make the team better from year to year. And so, much love Julius Randle, much love Tibbs. That's my piece.
An unpopular Knicks Twitter take.
Yeah,
Not that we're there
people
anymore.
do not like either Julius Randle or Tibbs, but this pod we gotta speak to the truth. Those guys made a big difference for the Knicks, and were a big part of this uprising.
Greg, anything else?
No, nothing more from me.
We said it
I
all.
think I've said everything I've had, everything I know at least for now. Once we see them out on the court, I'll have more to say.
Yeah.
I suppose I'd have a question for everybody here. It's been a while since we did an episode, but it was we've done it since Jalen Brunson, so that takes the number one answer for what I'm about to ask off the board. Since we last talked, what's each of our like favorite move the Knicks did, or like what was the happiest you were when the move happened, or however you want to take that. There's been a lot of changes to this team.
I would say my favorite move they made since our last pod, signing Dante DiVincenzo. No doubt about it. For a 4-year deal. No, I'm just kidding. I mean, that was a good one, but
That was a
he's
good
come,
one.
he's come and gone. So I mean, there's really no the OG Anunoby trade. It has to be that. I mean, I love Manuel quickly, but there's just the things he has unlocked with this New York Knicks teams in the 2 playoffs he's been here. It's just completely different than having RJ Barrett out there.
Yeah, I think that's the only answer.
Yeah, you take Brunson off the table, and I mean, well, I guess Cat and Mikal Bridges would have been the other 2 acquisitions we could have. There's other ones out there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Mikal had his ups and downs last year. Cat, I mean, look, he's a phenomenal offensive talent. He was extremely frustrating to watch on the defensive end at many times last year in the playoffs. The ups and downs with OG, you didn't really see as much. Like, he was a consistent presence. He's been my favorite player to watch. I love, like, it was hard to watch quickly and RJ go. Like, RJ too, even though he was also frustrating in his own way. Quickly was just like a joyful player to me. He just like brought a lot of energy and spark and just randomness to a team that didn't have a lot of that. So I loved Quickly and was pretty skeptical about the trade, honestly. But OG has completely won me over. I love watching him play. I love the motor. I love like the risks he takes on the defensive end. He just like lunges for the ball and like just flat out scares opposing offensive players. Like, he's just that big, that imposing, that just like instinctual. I was saying how Kenny and I love defense. I mean, OG is just the most fun. He's one of the most fun guys to watch on defense in the whole league, I think. So
Demon.
That's my answer.
Yeah, I guess part of what I think of, because OG, especially with the benefit of hindsight, I think is like the answer for probably most people listening. It's been like the easiest package to stomach and all of that in hindsight. I remember where I was and the feelings I felt right after, and I remember with the OG trade specifically, it was like I just like had an affinity for Quickly that everybody did, but I also just like was very attached to RJ. I remember the like thought I had, and I think I tweeted this, was like, I get it, but like this is the least I've liked something. Like, I did not. I remember feeling like I don't like this, but like it's probably good. And of course now, like, I love OG. Of those 3 guys, he's the only one who's like jersey I bought. I have a quick jersey trigger finger. I'll admit that. I'm willing to do it. And thinking about like, yeah, like Cat probably. Overall, I think his aged well. Like, I'm happy that we have him, and I like Cat. But that trade was gut-wrenching, getting rid of Dante, who in 1 year became as beloved as any 1 year Nick ever. And Julius, we obviously leading into this gave a big shout out to, and I watched a lot of Julius Randle. I felt every feeling, as everyone listening to this has. I felt every feeling you could have about Julius Randle. And I just thought it was funny that, like, in the moment of the trade, the one that I felt the most elation for is, I think, clearly the Mikal trade. I was just like immediately stoked about that, and it was perfect fit. And they doing the Cat trade and not doing the Nova thing. If I knew that was ultimately where it was going, I wouldn't have felt as specifically stoked. And obviously, that was the biggest like asset pool. Do we just have Giannis now? If we don't do that, I don't know. Maybe in a year it doesn't matter. Maybe it very much does. I don't know. I was just thinking to myself over the last 3 years that why was that the move I liked the most when it happened? I was just excited about that one.
Yeah.
And the other ones, I felt the pain of the package on the others way more.
And I'll say the reason for that is because like we didn't give up players for Mikal Bridges. Like, we gave up players for the other 2 guys, and players that
loved players.
Yeah, Dante DiVincenzo was beloved. Like, as much as I said Julius Randle was a guy that people were hot or cold with, like, I love Julius Randle. Everyone loved Dante DiVincenzo. The shot that he hit against the 76ers and that comeback that they had was like one of the top moments at MSG that I can remember. Like, he was beloved, and it was a very similar situation with OG. With IQ was universally beloved. RJ was a hot and cold character, but both of those hurt. I think there was a lot of people online who weren't as pumped about trading so many first-round picks for Mikal Bridges, but like it's not something that I really cared about all that much because I think unless it's at the top of the first round, it's such a question mark at this point, and like first-round picks are kind of losing their luster a little bit. It goes in waves as to whether like sometimes first-round picks are worth a lot, sometimes like doesn't really move the needle. But this Knicks team, and particularly under Tibbs, they weren't using guys who they were drafting, so it didn't matter who the guys picked with who got picked with those draft picks. But I will say, I'm at Villanova. I'm a guy who went to Villanova. I watched a lot of Villanova basketball. Josh Hart was my favorite player. Mikal Bridges was my next favorite player after Josh Hart. So when they brought him in, I was like pretty pumped about it. I think, like BBD said, the trade of Dante DiVincenzo shortly after that hurt. And I think he had a cold start to the season, and I think he also there's just so many good players on the Knicks that he's just not going to get the same looks and same kind of opportunities that he would if he wasn't behind all these players. So I think some of the shine has come off of that a little bit.
Yeah, I was trying to think of when OG like cemented himself in just like kind of my fandom. There was that game one dunk over Tatum, which I think is sort of the easy answer.
Didn't that not count?
Well, I think that was a different one. That was one over Derek White. That was crazy. I'm thinking of the one over Tatum. It was game one. Knicks beat 108, 105.
It's on the fast break at the end after. Did he get the steal? Did Bridges get the steal or something? There was something that led up to that. Yeah.
Bridges got the steal, and then OG got the dunk and the and one foul on Tatum. And it put the Knicks up 103-100 with like 3 minutes left in overtime. And I mean, that was just an amazing OG game. He had 29 points in that one on 10 of 20 shooting. And I was just like, this is my guy. Like showing up in the biggest game of the season like that, made the biggest play of the game. I love OG. I'll be standing for him all season. I might invest in a jersey myself. I don't have quite as quick of the jersey trigger as BBD, but yeah, love some OG Anunoby. Guys, I don't think we have time for what else is on today. I think like what's on is the Knicks. The Knicks are on.
Do we have we're picking games?
Whoa.
We're picking games like we used to?
Oh, I am rusty.
I got the roster here. I got the schedule here. Yeah. Wednesday, October 22nd, Cleveland Cavaliers in the Garden. Friday, October 24th, Boston Celtics in the Garden. Sunday, October 26th, the Miami Heat in Miami. What you guys got?
You got to go 3-0.
And so we change this every year. Does that mean the rest of us can't take 3-0? No, that can't be. We have too many people on this podcast.
Someone's got to pick 0-3.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy. I'll grab 2-1 then.
Oh, no.
Kenny, go.
1-2.
Tom hates
It's going to be a rough start to the season, guys. I hate to break it.
Yeah, I mean, Mitch is out.
Hart is out. We don't know.
I'll take 2-1. I think that they don't care about the regular season, guys. I don't know how many times I have to say that. They don't care. They're going to try some stuff, and it's early season with a new coach. 2-1.
2-1's quite good. Yeah, I feel 2-1. I like it. Beebs, what do you think?
I'm on the 2-1 train. Just feels right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, this has been Talkin Knicks. We're
Chair
back.
Company's on.
Just
watch that. We'll break it down next step.
If the Knicks lose any games, we're just be looking at our phones. Just Chair Company. All right, folks. Thank you for tuning in. I don't know how you did it. I don't know how you tuned in, but hopefully you did. And I'll say
Subscribe, interact, whatever's
whatever's
wherever
available.
You listened.
Wherever this
I don't
gets
know where-
posted, subscribe. We don't know where it's going to be.
Engage in some way.
At least hit the share button. I think it helps the algorithm if you just touch the share button, even if you ultimately don't do anything with that. Try it.
Yeah, I mean,
It can't hurt you to just touch that. That's fully free, and you don't even have to like tell your friend listen to this.
yeah, we're
But also tell someone to listen to it if you liked it.
we're
I don't
we're
know.
happy to email it to listeners individually. We just need to figure out how to ask you if you want it and for you to send your email address. So
Yeah,
we're-
you can join the mailing list.
Yeah.
That I guess I'll see about making that.
I think the whole is greater than
Yeah.
all the parts summed up together. And
Exactly.
so and the parts were pretty great.
I
Find
actually have
some way to send me money.
I actually have a shirt that says that exact thing, Tom.
Put that on a jersey. All right.
The Friendship Pod.
All right, folks. Thanks for listening. Talk to you soon, hopefully.
Mixtape.